What's up? This is episode 4 of the Twin Flame game series, and today is going to be about sex, hooking up with other people while you're on the journey, dating other people, being in a relationship with other people, and all of that. So, once you you're a few months into the journey and you've accepted it and you're trying to just work through it, you still haven't really gotten your powers and you really still haven't really dug it in. But once you start really looking and you see that some people have been on the journey for like 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, you start to freak out because once you start to get on, you're like, okay, I can do this, I can get this going. Like you think you're gonna just like hammer it out, and you start seeing that there's all this time. And so, if you're like me and I needed constant validation, I was like, yeah, no, fuck this dude. I'm gonna find somebody else. I'm gonna forget about all of it, and because I needed that validation constantly. In my life, even if I didn't like them, I still wanted the validation. So you're like, okay, and right now you're still operating from your lower chakras, and so during this time, your sexual energy gets crazy. Mine got really crazy. I've always been a really high sexual person. Also, that was just a lot of trauma, of seeking validation. But I've always been like a really, really sexual person. Plus, I did a lot of steroids. And so I also, if you can't tell, I'm bisexual. So I almost felt this guilt. So I decided, well, I'm just gonna date girls. I'm just gonna date girls then, And because I thought, well, but that's fine. And I did try, so like, I started to try to talk to a bunch of people. Like, I swear I was talking to like 10 people, like 5 guys, 5 girls, and really having zero interest or connection in them. But I tried. And so even like, I would kind of be interested in somebody, but for like a day, and the next day I'm like, nah. But I would try to hang out. So I did try a couple of times, and the energy, like, it wouldn't allow it. So I would notice, like, either there was just somehow we couldn't meet, or somehow, I just didn't want to go that day, or it just was weird. I've never had it like that, to where it just wouldn't happen. Like, the energy wouldn't allow it. And so I started to be like, what, am I not supposed to date? But I was like, really, really, in some sexual energy. Like, I'd be at the gym and I'd be looking at people and being like attracted to them when I've never been. I've been seeing them in the gym for years. And so I was just in desperate need to fill that void that when my twin left, I was just looking for anything, and I just could not find a connection. 0% chance that, I didn't even remember their names. I remember I put somebody in my phone as 6'5", because he was 6'5". Like, and it was just like, I didn't give a shit. But, it wasn't working out. And so, that's when I started to think like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to date. And, but here's the thing. As your ego death goes on and you start to alchemize and get rid of these traumas, especially in your lower chakras, all of a sudden, that desire of the need to have validation or date somebody or have that something, it starts to go away, because you start to elevate higher and you start to catch your triggers, and you realize that is just looking for something outside of yourself to soothe. It's the same with like masturbation and porn and all that stuff, which I'll get onto, because I was addicted to everything, porn, everything. So you kind of just surrender. But that was for me. here's the other thing. And once you start to raise your vibration, you're going to start magnetizing in a bunch of people. Now, here's the thing. If you're in that sexual energy and you want to date and it's working out for you, then there's still lessons that need to be learned there. Then do it. But you will level out of it, and then you will start realizing that you were seeking something outside of yourself, and then you start to kind of fall back on it. But that's where I went into masturbation. I started to kind of be obsessed with that because I thought, well, at least, but I thought at least it was just for myself. But even then, it was still seeking something. I was still trying to soothe something, and I remember feeling like, okay, well, if I can't date, it's not working out. I remember telling the universe, like, well, then why do I feel so sexual if I'm not supposed to date? And I remember the next day I woke up and it was gone. Like, the urge was gone. Like, I haven't had it since to talk, date, look at, think of anything anymore. But that was a trauma that I had in my body that needed to be alchemized. And once it was, I didn't need that anymore. So that may not be the case for you. You might still need lessons from Karmics. You may raise your vibration, and a soulmate may come in. Now, that also means there's something more that needs to be learned. And I got that, my spirit guides kind of gave me that because I always wondered, like, because as I came into union, a lot of people do get soulmates. And I asked my spirit guides, like, why am I not going to get a soulmate? And mine is actually, I met my twin like a year ago, just barely now. So it was very fast. And basically, my spirit guide said, I learned the lessons I need to learn from my last ex, because right before this, my karmic ex was a narcissist, psychopath, and he tried to take my life. And I learned it was a horrible, toxic, abusive, so crazy relationship. So I think that pushed me into my ego death, which then catalyzed this into, I met my twin, and then I went into a farther ego death. So I felt like I learned my lesson. So according to my spirit guides, I'm not getting a soulmate in between me and my twin, okay? But you may, and if so, that's okay. But when you do, you'll already be out of that searching for something outside of you. If you get a soulmate, you're already going to be on this level of doing it because it feels good, not because you need it, So it's each person is separate. So, like, if your twin has so many life lessons and it's going to be years, you may have a soulmate, you may not, but you're going to know. But in the beginning, you're confused because you feel like you want to do this and it was weird because I wanted my twin so bad, but not really sexually. I didn't really think of him sexually. It was weird. It was just, I just wanted to be in his presence, but I was looking for something sexually outside of me because I was just trying to forget, I was just like, fuck, this gonna be this long? No, I'm just gonna be a player and all this stuff. I tried, but once you start going up higher and higher, you don't want any of those things. I mean, bad stuff, like, even if whatever you were addicted to just falls away. You don't even have to stop your addiction. Like, it'll just get taken. And so do what feels right. But in the beginning, you don't understand what your spirit guides are saying. You don't understand your powers. You don't understand what's happening. So in your lower chakras. So just do what feels right, because once you're higher, you're gonna know more about energy, and you're not gonna want people's energy in you, ruining you, near you, around you. You're not. And no one's energy will match your twins. And so you get to the point where it's like, nah, I'd rather sit in solitude, and you'll start finding joy and happiness in yourself. And then you're like, I don't need anybody. And you're like, I don't need my twin either, but he would be an addition because he's like you in solitude, but he's there with you, right? So you don't need another person. You only need yourself. And if your twin was there, it would just be an addition to yourself.